wall who would like to share a few words with you, their precious family and friends, and even share with you the significance of the opening songs that Gary Sherman blessed us with.
You didn't need to know Sue for long for her true character to be revealed. She had no airs, she had no graces, no pretensions to be something that she wasn't. Forever thinking of others and focused on making the lives of those around her happier and better. Sue was completely selfless. As many of you will be aware, Sue's desire was always to give back to friends, to family, to causes that touched her heart. And her reward was always simple. The joy it brought, the love fed back. Her example certainly made me a better person, and I know from the outpouring this week from all our friends and work colleagues, it would be true that she made them better as well. If there is one strength, it is knowing that Sue's legacy lives on in so many whose lives she has touched, particularly Matthew and Hannah, our children. Sue and I were opposites in many ways, as many of you know. But with Sue and I, it made the partnership stronger. There were few decisions in our lives that we did not make together. We always sought each other's opinions, and the combined view always seemed to be better than the individual. In that vein, I was reflecting this week on what to say today, and more importantly, what would Sue want to say? I'll start with me. It is difficult to be honest and open about something that is still so raw, so forgive me for simply saying that she was a wonderful mother, a loving sister, and a beautiful wife. It is impossible for me to explain in words the bond between us. We had an extraordinary marriage that grew and surpassed any vow we made on our wedding day 20 years ago. As for Sue, what would she want to say? She'd want to simply say thank you to all of you. 16 months ago, when she was diagnosed, started a flow of love that is still outpouring today. Your cards, emails, text messages, flowers, dinners, visits and support in every way brought so much joy into her life. She saved every card, printed every email, collected every gift, and stored them in boxes. 3 large boxes, and every moment she needed strength, she'd reach into a box and read them again. It meant so much to Sue to be loved, and over the last 16 months you've certainly shown that. Thank you. Yesterday's and today's services are a combination of the Christian influences present in the lives of the family, and very much driven by Sue. Through Pastors Don, Steve, Tim and Kevin, and I'd like to thank them for bringing Sue's final wishes together. And just finally, thanks to Gary and his daughter Lizzie, who played piano and sang when you arrived. The first song Lizzie sang was called Apple Blossom Time, and that was our first dance at our wedding. And whilst twist and shout might not seem appropriate on an occasion like this last Christmas Eve, sadly that was our last. Thank you.
Well, this is a difficult morning. There is nothing natural. There's nothing natural about saying goodbye to a woman who is actually so full of life and overflowing with love. In fact, today is a reflection of just how much love that Sue radiated and had for each person in this room. You are Sue's legacy. I invite even the Wall family to look at the family and friends, the outpouring that has been. And this is a reflection right back to Sue and how well she loved others. David, Sue has always been and always will be your great love. You are the love of her life, and she yours. Hannah and Matthew, Your mother is so proud of you. The beautiful young woman you become, a man of intellect and integrity you become. I know, you're like the intellect. That's true. That's true. John and Ruth, Andy, Amanda, and Ben, this loss is more than you can bear, and yet this is a celebration service because today we are celebrating the remarkable life of a woman who loved much and loved well, and today the love that Sue had for so many people is being returned to her and to you through this outpouring. Some of you knew Sue from the neighborhood as she held her tea and waved as the men jogged by in the morning. Some of you became friends through school, through play dates, soccer games, connections with Matt and Hannah. I was fortunate enough to meet Sue at church just shy of 2 years ago. And I remember meeting her and David after the service, and she said, "Your sermon was smashing." And Brits make everything sound smart. Many of you traveled with Sue on her spiritual journey, especially over the last 16 months, and still others in this group, you knew Sue from the workplace through her distinguished corporate career at Cadbury and PepsiCo. In fact, Cadbury is where you and Sue first met, isn't it, David? Over a vat of chocolate, I believe. It was a heck of a place to meet. Those were the sweet years. You may not know this, but Sue graduated from Cambridge University. She had a voracious intellect. She was fluent in 4 languages. You married up. And at the time, Sue was leading international marketing efforts at Cadbury when she caught the eye of David, who was running one of the chocolate factories. And they would actually meet at the tracks where the chocolate train came through. So they met from the other side of the tracks. It was love at first sight. And those were sweet years. Sue was elected Businesswoman of the Year, actually traveled to France, and they had a long-distance courtship, and eventually were married in 1992. So 20 years of great joy. And I know David and Sue had a tradition to watch the video of your Cadbury wedding on your anniversary each year. And I was asking David if about the conflicts that most husbands and wives had. He said she was the perfect wife. And God blessed those sweet years in a very big way with the arrival of Matthew first, and then Hannah. You were only 4 and 2 years old when Mom and Dad moved the family to Argentina. This is a family that loves adventure. Weekend trips to explore the countryside. I don't know if you remember it. Going to the hot springs with your mom or to friends' homes on holiday. Or the petting zoo in Argentina. Do you remember that, Matthew? Your dad said you almost lost your arm to a lion. It was fun to see the special photo albums that your mom made for your 11th and 12th birthday. She relished every moment that the 4 of you spent together. Again, sweet memories, fun times. This family moved to Basking Ridge 10 years ago in 2002, and so this is home for Sue. This is home, and it's fitting that we celebrate her remarkable journey in this place. In 2 Corinthians, the Apostle Paul says that one of the evidences for belief in God are the living letters of a man or woman who is transformed by personal faith in Jesus Christ. He says they're a living letter. What's a living letter? It's someone whose life takes on a very different texture, that their words have a different tone because the Spirit of Christ inhabits their very being. They speak and think less of themselves and more of God and others, and this is precisely what happened with Sue. Sue's life, in every way, was a living letter. Her cancer journey actually led and drew her to Christ in a very personal way. And many of us came to see Jesus more clearly because of the way that Sue drew her life from his. Paul was writing to the Corinthians here, but I think we could actually personalize this letter as if it were written to Sue. Listen to these words. Sue, you are my letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everybody. Sue, you show that you are a letter from Christ, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. Sue's life was a letter from God that all of us were privileged to read. It touched us deeply, it made us laugh, it made us cry. And Sue's faith, her resolve, and compassion is living proof that Christ is mighty to save even at life's end. If we could be honest for a moment, A diagnosis like Sue's would make most of us bitter. And yet, Sue's disease never once made her bitter, it made her better. As Sue drew strength from her Savior, her life became a living letter, a living proof, a testimony, that although one's flesh may fail, their spirit can be renewed inwardly day by day. And what you are now about to hear are the pages from the letter of Sue's life. Sue's letter was written on the hearts of many in this room, as Paul describes, but we've asked a few people to share who represent the different circles that Sue impacted. She had a lot of circles that she traveled in. Whether at work, at school, in the neighborhood, or church, each of these spheres was impacted by Sue's life in an incredible way. Her Christ-like courage and compassion leaked over into every area of her life. And it's that spirit of contagious hope and love that she embodied, what we're going to now remember by those who knew her well. Dan and Debbie both were some of Sue's closest traveling partners on her spiritual journey. I'd like to invite them to come forward at this time and share.
Life is a journey, and on our journey through life, we meet a lot of people. Sometimes God blesses us by putting someone extraordinary in our lives. For us, Sue was one of those very special people. We'd like to share with you this morning the spiritual journey that Sue graciously let some of us that are here this morning live alongside of her.
Dan and I stand here humbled today to share with you our story of an extraordinary friendship and an amazing woman. It was filled with love, spiritual growth, and pain with a purpose. Sue changed every life she came in contact with in a positive way. Dan and I often remarked we had never met anyone quite like Sue. A friendship with Sue was an active friendship. Not only did Sue offer encouragement and hope to others, but her spirit of, let's do it, and let's do it right now, left you no choice but to act on your thoughts and dreams with a sense of immediacy. We first met Dave and Sue at the home of Jeff and Jen Scott for a weekly Thursday night Bible study. Our group became close quickly as we studied the Bible, faced life's challenges, all while supporting and caring for each other. In July 2010, we invited our group to Liquid Church. Dave and Sue joined us, and it was here that our journey and God's story begins. Our visits to Liquid with Dave and Sue became a weekly occurrence. We looked forward to our Sundays with them, and our friendship grew. One morning, Dan was taking the train to New York City, something he did not typically do, and Sue was also riding the same train, something she didn't typically do. They landed in the same car and sat together for the ride to New York. In Dan's own words, it was the 1-hour ride that changed our lives forever. He said their conversation didn't begin with a question from Sue, as so many later conversations did. It started with a talk about the deeper meaning of life, finding a work-life balance, a desire to serve others, and bringing hope to the world. After having some meaningful discussion and sharing some thoughts, she looked at Dan and said, "Tell me about this God thing." Little did we know where that question would eventually take us. It set the stage for our Liquid Sundays, as Sue affectionately named them, a great sermon and a good cup of coffee. The four of us would gather in the lobby, and together with our coffees and our croissants, we would discuss the sermon, which led to deep, spirit-filled conversations. It was shortly after our get-together started that Sue was diagnosed with mesothelioma. The news was heartbreaking for all of us. Liquid became an anchor in Sue's life, and as she faced what she called her new normal. She often remarked after the sermons, "I feel like Pastor Tim is talking about my life every week." Her quest for understanding led to even deeper discussions on life and death, our hearts and our heads. Giving and receiving, just to name a few. Little did we know how the topics we tackled would change Sue's life and impact ours as well. Our spiritual journey with Sue reached its midpoint on June 19, 2011. We were all attending the sermon series, Heaven, Hell, and the Afterlife. Sue's journey to learn about this God thing crossed over from her head knowledge of the previous month to surrendering her heart to Jesus that day. I'd like to share with you Sue's own words, which she recorded in her journal. Sue writes, "With tears rolling down my cheeks,